it's time to start the examination of the issue of fair remuneration here in Dublin with our guests. I will present them shortly. Victor Finn is the CEO of IMRO, the Irish Music Rights Organization. It's one of the performing rights organizations that Alan was mentioning. So our debate, especially when it comes to the legal side, will be probably focusing more on Europe. I don't know, but I mean, what Alan said with regard to the US is even more valid here in Europe. And you have to consider that what he said refers just to the music sector. Several times he stated the fact that when it comes to digital identifiers, when it comes to these new technologies and databases applied to creative works, in every sector there is an effort by right holders to make technology helpful for the issue of rights management. David Kavanagh, from the Writers Guild of Ireland, he's going to give us the creator's perspective that I found when I thought of this workshop unmissable, and so we are particularly grateful for his presence. And then Professor Mira Sundara from the University of Glasgow, who will give us a presentation on how to obtain justice for authors and what the role of Europe can be. And I thank her warmly for having accepted our invitation to be here with us. So I would leave the floor to Victor Finn to start. It's also very related to what Alan said with regard to the US. And the floor is yours. For the non-copyright specialists, just a warning. In 2 months from now, the Directive of 2014 on collective rights management will become enforceable, will become effective, and so all member states are supposed to make it sure that the collecting societies that operate in their jurisdictions comply with the rules of this very, very lengthy and complicated directive.
Thank you, Giuseppe, and thank you for the invitation here today. I'm delighted to be here. I found it fascinating up until now. I hope you will for the remainder of the evening as well. Undoubtedly, intellectual property is the key to success in any modern economy, whether it's personal data on Facebook, an algorithm on Google, a film, a football match, or a song. It is intangible but essential. I'm Victor Finn, and I'm the Chief Executive of IMRO, the Irish Music Rights Organization. We represent the musical creators in Ireland, and we represent about 10,000 songwriters, music publishers and composers, representing every genre of music and era of music. So every time a piece of music, of our members' music, is used in television, on radio, in advertising, on films, live at gigs or festivals, or online for digital services like iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, we collect a royalty payment, which goes to the writer and publishers of the song. We license over 22,000 business premises across Ireland, and many online services operating throughout the globe. Last year, our turnover reached €30 million, contributing to a music industry that's worth €500 million to the Irish economy. Over 80,000 people are employed in the creative industries in Ireland, of whom 11,500 work in music. We sometimes take for granted the significance of music to our cultural heritage and diversity, especially here in Ireland. But we have produced world-renowned music for generations, across all genres. Our members' compositions are used in shows that are exported all over the world, generating a wealth of reputational capital for the country, which all facets of industry draw benefit, from tourism to attracting foreign direct investment. A recent Irish Tourist Board study found that Irish music was the #1 cultural attraction for overseas visitors to Ireland. So music has a benefit way beyond the simple enjoyment that we get it from day to day. Copyright allows our members, our songwriters, to earn a living, and it's the only means for them doing so. The performer, for example, is paid for performing. The recording artist can sell a song, but the songwriter is at one step removed from these transactions and depends solely on copyright for remuneration. This is why we promote and protect its value in everything we do. We also do everything we can to license the use of our members' music. Our blanket licenses facilitate access to the worldwide repertoire of music. We were one of the first societies in the world to license online uses way back when ringtones came out, the computer-generated ringtones came out first. We were the first society to make our repertoire available on a pan-European basis through innovative outsourcing of our online rights to our sister societies around Europe. We are at the forefront of change and we intend to remain so. But the music business has changed over the last 15 years and this change is constantly accelerating. For decades, and for good reason, copyright was managed on a national basis with reciprocal agreements between collection societies, facilitating access to the global repertoire. We represent not only our members' music in Ireland, but also those of over 80 overseas territories, ensuring that a licence from IMRO to a business located in Ireland granted access to the entire world's repertoire, and that royalty earnings end up in the hands of the creator wherever they come from. Copyright, of course, can be complex, but its importance to a successful and growing digital creative economy cannot be overstated. Our role is to ensure that those who want to use music can do so both easily and cost-effectively, while ensuring that those who created it are able to earn a fair return. This is the kernel of the current copyright debate in Ireland, Europe, and indeed further afield. That is, what should the balance be between the owners and the users of copyright? We come back to the balance issue again. This is why I found it and still find it puzzling when I constantly hear the rhetoric that copyright is a barrier to innovation. It will surprise none of you that I disagree fundamentally with such a statement. Our mission is to give the greatest access possible to music, not to prevent anyone from accessing it. Why should we? We're an organisation run by songwriters and publishers representing an increasing number of creators every year who want to earn a living from earning music. They're not interested in preventing access or preventing usage. We have never been anti-consumer. We have never sued consumers. We have never, but we don't agree that content should be free. We simply believe that when people work, they should get paid for it, just like any other good or service, or by earning a salary by going to work. Bear in mind that the majority of our songwriters in Ireland earn less than a minimum wage for their efforts. Turning to the online market, cultural content and musical creativity are the key drivers in this sector. Music was the first sector at the forefront of online commerce. Creativity attracts a mass market of consumers to new and innovative online companies. This is good and positive, and we have always welcomed it. But with this market growth over the past 10 years, a clear division has emerged between licensed digital content providers on the one hand, companies like streaming companies Spotify, Deezer, Netflix, iTunes, which license their content from rights holders, versus platform services on the other. Platform services such as TuneIn, Dailymotion, Facebook, YouTube and others provide access to aggregated or user-uploaded content. The latter platform services are by far the most dominant players, though, in the online market. A recent EU study estimates the active monthly users of platform services in the EU was 652 million, compared to just 24 million for licensed digital services. Why is this distinction between licensed digital content services on the one hand and platform services on the other so important? Creative content is the key to platform services. Imagine just for a moment how successful YouTube would be without music. But the influence and dominance of these platform services means that they are now the primary portal by which consumers access online content. The business model often centres on keeping consumers inside their online ecosystems for as long as possible, discovering, sharing, accessing music and other audiovisual content. By, for example, central to attracting and retaining consumers. The economic weight of these platforms is really significant. 22 billion market capitalization at the end of 2015. Using creative content to attract consumers leads to high market valuations, even when the revenues are not that high, or even when they're not profitable. In a lot of cases, they do not create or invest in cultural content, but aggregate or make available cultural content that is available on other websites or made available by the individual users of these services. This way, almost all value created by creative works online is de facto transferred to online intermediaries without fairly remunerating the creators of the cultural content in the first place. The problem arises for creative industries is firstly the unfair sharing of this enormous value chain with the creators who are responsible for driving the traffic in the first place. Secondly, they often compete directly with licensed content providers for the same users of revenues. For example, and bear with me while I give you an example over the last 18 months, Taylor Swift withheld her last album from Spotify, yet within a matter of days it was available on YouTube. So although she was absent from Spotify, her music was available to everybody on a platform service. And for those consumers who have little or no awareness of copyright, YouTube will point them to apps that will enable them to download streams from the service and strip ads from them. This effectively offers a music experience equivalent to Spotify Premium, but for free. Meanwhile, streaming services can't feed its subscription layer without bringing consumers into the ad-funded layer. And it can't get them into the ad-funded layer unless they have all content that is available to user-generated content platforms. If they don't carry Taylor Swift, for example, one of the biggest artists in the world then, they're not only at a pricing disadvantage, but they're also at a content disadvantage. It's clearly unfair competition. While there are challenges to songwriters adapting the flow of money from subscription streaming services, premium subscription services, they are not in the end the real problem. Streaming will provide an income in time once enough people are paying the premium subscriptions on a monthly basis. Advertising alone will not fund streaming services going forward. It's simply not sustainable. So the business model of any successful streaming service demands an ad fund tier, though, that is free to consumers. The reason it's free is firstly it's got to compete with free because the regulators have said we need market solutions to this, licensing solutions. So they've got to provide a free tier to consumers. Secondly, it's a driver. The free tier acts as a driver also to the subscription tier. Many commentators and academics alike point to the fact that new business models are leading to a reduction in piracy. This is true. But perhaps this is short-term, because by necessity there are free tiers to combat free piracy, but over 7 years into the streaming services that were launched back in 2007 and 2008, can anybody tell me any one of them who are turning a profit? We all hope they do. At what point will this break-even be reached? And how will break-even be reached if an unlevel playing field continues to exist? I believe this is a clear example of market failure. So unlike licensed services, streaming services, who often obtain licenses in advance, platform services either do not pay or underpay creators for the works used. Why is this, and why is it allowed to happen and continue? This double standard stems from the ambiguity in the application of the e-commerce directive, and specifically the safe harbour provisions on copyright-relevant acts on platform services. They claim to be mere, as we've heard already today, they claim to be mere technical intermediaries and thus are not required to remunerate content creators. The safe harbour provisions are used to protect those that host, curate and distribute copyright material while claiming to have no knowledge of such use on the grounds that their users, and not themselves, are responsible for clearing copyright. Extending the scope of the safe harbour provisions severely undermines the efficiency of the market, distorts competition and drives down the overall value of all cultural content online. This transfer of value from the creative industries to online platform services has a number of crucial effects. It results in low remuneration for the biggest usage of creative content in the online environment. It creates an unfair advantage over legitimate businesses, and it limits consumer choice for new and innovative services that remunerate creators fairly. So what can be done to remedy such an obvious failure of the market and of regulation? We believe the answer lies in the review of the application of the safe harbour provisions of the 2001 Copyright Directive. The directive should be amended to clarify that platform services engaged in making creative content available to the public cannot rely on safe harbour provisions in relation to any copyright-related activities. If we address this fundamental issue, everybody benefits. Creators will get a share of the very significant revenues that their content undoubtedly generates. Digital service providers and new startups will finally have access to a level playing field, and fans and consumers will benefit from new innovations made possible by a fairer online market and be safe in the knowledge that their favourite creators are fairly remunerated. We welcome initiatives where there is synergy between creator, consumer and technology. Each is codependent and a lucrative future is a harmonious one. We absolutely welcome new and increasingly diverse ways in which music is distributed and consumed. Just as access has increased, so has the quality of content, and we've all become accustomed to a quality viewing or listening experience. Today's high-quality productions, whether of games, TV programmes, films, videos or music, do not come for free, and hence the 80,000 jobs in Ireland's creative industries. This is why it has never been so important to champion the value of copyright. The Irish government needs to protect its creative industries by supporting the European Commission in updating and redrawing the boundaries of safe harbour. We have an opportunity, together with the Commission, to clarify the rules in relation to online intermediaries. This will ensure a level playing field where all service providers are fully licensed in a free market. Thank you.